I was born and raised here. Birthday's coming up November 9th. I'll be 41. I became homeless 2007. I was 7 months pregnant with one of my oldest sons. At the time, I resided with my mother. We shared my grandparents' house, who had both passed away. My mom put me out. We were all doing drugs. I was pregnant, like I said, with one of my oldest sons. She threw me out the day before Thanksgiving, 2007. And I've been homeless. I've been homeless on and off ever since. I've had a place maybe 3 different times throughout the course of since 2007. But that's how it started. A lot of the times I would break and enter into places. I didn't stay in a lot of shelters. Honestly, I never really stayed in a shelter until until I was discharged from the hospital into respite from House of Charity, and that was okay. But before that, I had never been in a shelter. But then after that, I think Jules is the first actual shelter I stayed in after the respite. It was pretty nice. Sorry, I'm getting anxious.
You're fine. Take a deep breath.
I stayed at the Cannon shelter earlier this winter. Totally not what I expected. I expected to be like way more people. I expected possibly not to even get in due to the amount of people. They're really concerned because of my health. At that time, I had a bone infection, and they insisted that I go get medical attention. Because I was embarrassed, I didn't. I left, and I went into the hospital. At which time I went to the hospital, was discharged to go into respite at House of Charity. And then when I came out of House of Charity's respite, I actually went to stay and for the remainder period of time of Jules being open.
So what's your journey here the past 5 or 6 months been like? Just describe life for me.
Very overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. It seems like everything is a hurry up and wait. I'm just now getting ready to get on Social Security. A lot of people have told me I should have applied for this several years ago, at least 3 years ago. And because of that good old pride thing, I think I had a disability and I didn't want to admit it. So it's been very overwhelming, like I said. A lot of unnerving, anxiety, anxious. Everything is finally just now getting ready to come into order. I'm gone to all my appointments. I'm on the waiting list. I'm getting ready to come up to the top of the waiting list. My Social Security is getting ready to come through. And once my Social Security comes through, then my housing will all come into play.
So are you looking forward to getting your own place?
Oh yes, very much so. This is not a way of life that I glamorize. I mean, and I'm serious, if it wasn't for Jules and Jason, I'd still boycott going to shelters and be hidden out somewhere in the cold.
Why do you boycott shelters?
I would avoid shelters because my stuff would always get stolen. There would be problems with bugs. There's people don't know their boundaries. I mean, that's primarily it.
Tell me about your experience with frostbite? What happened there?
I had an experience with hypothermia and frostbite coming up on 3 winters ago now. There was a guy that I was dating. He knew some people that had an RV like trailer on the back in the back of their house, and they told us we can come stay. It was late one night. Well, I didn't realize that there was holes in the ceiling. It was an aluminum foil ceiling. An aluminum ceiling had cracks and holes through it. This is way up in the middle of Hilliard. I remember there was nothing but ice. By the next day, in daylight when I could actually see, then I could see that there was like holes and stuff in the ceiling, and there was no blankets anywhere. There was no way for me to get warmed up. I was just frozen, like I was frozen. This man had left me in the trailer. I was locked in this trailer. I had no blankets for 4 days until he decided to come back. No blankets, anything. By that time, I could tell I had hypothermia and frostbite.
And you're still fighting that, and it's caused some ongoing problems for you.
At the time, I was at Sacred Heart for almost 9 weeks. I've had several bone infections from my feet up to my ankles, up to my kneecaps. I was originally supposed to have everything from the kneecaps below amputated. At that time, I also had 4 irrigation and debriding surgeries where they literally went in and vacuum sucked rotten bone, joint, and fragment particles. I cry like every time winter comes up, and I start feeling like a failure because I don't have a place. I often get asked the question, would I rather everything have gotten amputated, or would I continue to rather be like this, you know? I think I'd rather have everything amputated on a pain level. Because I still feel the pain. They say there's what's called phantom pain. I think that I'd rather go through the pain of amputation, because eventually that goes away. Sorry.
You're fine. There's nothing to be sorry about.
I know that the guy that I was with, when he decided to come back, I told him to think of anything we can to absorb, that will absorb like water, like anything like clothing like or cloth like. And I didn't care if it was dirty or not. Heck, we're homeless, and that's the last thing I'm worried about. Put it into a bag that has no holes in it. Make sure the bag has no air in it. Go to one of the neighbors, tell them their pipes are broken, let them get hot water, like as many bags as we could fill up. They were like makeshift heating pads, just so that we can get enough on to warm up my bones so that I can get up on my feet and get to the hospital. So I had to create like makeshift heating pads, some kind of heated to my bones. I had damn near no feeling. I felt like I was on it was weird, like dead bone. I was trying to maneuver on dead bone. And it turns out I have neuropathy in my feet because of this.
And tell me about your feet, that they amputated some of your toes.
I have no toes. I have half of both of my big toes, but the rest of them are just barely stubs. That's all the result of coming up on 3 winters ago now. Frostbite, hypothermia and frostbite.
You're a very strong and brave woman. You need to know that. I cannot imagine going through what you have been through. And it takes a great deal of courage to sit in front of a camera and let a stranger ask you to recount those experiences. And I'm truly sorry for the pain that you have been through. But you are amazingly strong and courageous. And you're amazing.
Thank you. I wouldn't want to see anybody else go through that. The pain of frostbite, oh man. And I know why they call it frostbite, because the marks that it leaves, it literally looks like an evil bite. An evil bite. When I was at Jules Helping Hands, it was still completely wrapped from my last bone infection. But now I wear, for the rest of my life, I'll wear a wrist stabilizer brace. Because of it being dormant, without the brace, I wouldn't have it like this. It'd be completely over that way. And it's all due to the frostbite.
Thank you for telling your story. I have no words. I sit here absolutely amazed at what you've been through and how you have persevered, and it's just an absolute honor and privilege to be able to sit here and talk to you and have you tell your story.
I feel fortunate to be inside.
I'm the fortunate one. I'm fortunate to know you. Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.